So today I was watching this video called How to Become the British Monarch. And I've seen the series of videos before. In fact, the last one I watched was this European Union Explained video, which I thought was very funny. So it's sort of an educational, funny type of thing. If you haven't seen these videos, I recommend you go watch these. Um, Today was kind of awesome though, because in the middle of this sort of whimsical explanation of how the British monarch gets selected, there was this bit of Python code that actually does that selection. And like, this is actually real code. They put this in there, I'm guessing for sort of nerdy comedic effect, but it's real Python and it does what they said it does. And I thought that was fantastic. So I decided that I was going to pull that code into an editor and poke at it a little bit just to bring it more into focus, especially sort of through the lens of Python idioms. So I'll just explain the code real quick and then I'll start reworking things. So this is male primogeniture, which is the mechanism they use, I guess, to pick the monarch in the UK. This is our monarch object. Presumably this is a dead monarch, I guess, if we've got to pick who's next in line to be the next monarch. So that there's this expression here of, do you have children? If you don't, then it goes and it runs this method against another monarch. Otherwise, do you have sons? It picks the eldest son if you do. If you don't have sons, it picks the eldest daughter if you don't. Now you'll notice if we didn't have children, we would return there. If we had sons, we'd return here. So we're going to have daughters here. That's the only real option. So we'll never actually hit this code if we got that far. So that's the first thing I'm going to get rid of. The other thing is, and again, I said, I'm going to kind of reshape this through the lens of Python idioms. So you don't need to say is true when you've got a Boolean. Really, the if statement in Python is always asking, is this true? So is true is just redundant. So here we're saying, if the monarch has sons or if the monarch has daughters, and that's already clear enough. We don't need to say is true. Is false is a little bit of a different thing because, like I said, if is going to ask, if this is true, and so we've got to make it clear that, it's false. But a more Pythonic way to do that is to just say not and get rid of the false. And so this reads much better. If not has children, or basically, if you don't have children, we're going to look at a different monarch or a different member of the royal family tree. So this actually, because it's returning right away, is essentially a guard condition, which means it's guarding the rest of the method from having to consider this sort of not quite valid option that was passed into the method. So we can get rid of that, which means we can get rid of the else and that that level of nesting. If I don't delete everything, by getting rid of that level of nesting, things are already a little more clear. Now here, going back to, again, Python idioms, you don't really see a lot of things like, has sons, like Booleans like that are giving you some kind of meta information about a collection on an object, because we have this collection. I don't really know what this is because I don't have the the class for monarch, right? But presumably this is a list or some other kind of collection that we're working with here. So if it's collection, if it's empty, it would resolve to false, and if it's not, it's going to be true. So essentially, this gives us the answer to the question: does a monarch have sons? And the same thing down here. We have this daughters collection, so we don't need to say has daughters. We can just say daughters, and also let's just deal with that there. Now, one other thing here while we're in here, I'll go back over this logic. If we don't have children, look at another member of the royal family. If we have sons, return the eldest son. that only leaves us daughters here through the logic of this code. So really, we don't even need to say if daughters, because we already, if we get to this point at all, we already have daughters. So this looks a lot simpler already, just like that. But this part still bothers me a little bit because we're saying has children, and we're expecting that monarch object to have this property or method that has children, and we don't know if that's actually the case, especially since we got rid of the has sons, has daughters. So we can come back in here and do this. And the way this works out, the way this reads is if not sons or daughters, look at another relative. Otherwise, if sons, return the eldest. And if there's no sons, then return the eldest daughter. And that, I think, looks a lot better. I mean, not to pick on the people that wrote that code originally. They did a great job. I just thought I would rework this again through that lens of Python idiom and just go for a little more clarity. And I think it came out with the intent showing a lot better.